Okay, let's get started on this here, folks. Um, we're going to be continuing on our journey for getting our Pega certification. Um, in this first hour here, if you're not quite sure what's going on, um, this first hour we're going to be doing. Um, we're going to be finishing off defining a customer microjourney for. Um, let's see. I'm not quite sure why it's not coming up right at this moment in time. What's going on here? Hold on. There we go. The it just keeps on not updating itself. Okay, so we're going to be finishing off the defining the customer microjourney. Um, so we got that going for us. We got the draft mode and the module quiz to go through. Um, and we might proceed on to the next portion of the low-code app builder. Um, although it is the challenge, so I don't know if I really want to try to start that, especially if there's like 10 minutes left, because it does require quite a bit of steps, and I want to make sure that I, explain what's going on as much as I can. If this is like the first time that you're coming into my stream, trying to watch me for the very first time, um, just know that I'm not an official Pega trainer. I'm not an employee of Pega. I'm not sponsored by Pega. So this is just um, a little background, just in case. Is you know for those that might be watching this on YouTube, this is a repeat. But um, you know, I was trained in Pega, but the trainer wasn't that great. So a lot of us tried to do self-study, and I don't know. I have a hard time. I have a hard time with self-study, um, but I'm hoping that this self-study with this kind of schedule, sit down and focus and so on and so forth, I'll still be able to achieve that certification goal. Um, you're welcome to join me in this. If you're trying to look for, getting that system architect for Pega certification, you're welcome to join me on that. Um, business architect is also, a good portion of these missions that I'm working on right here. Um, the low code app builder is part of business architect. So, what I'm covering here is also covered there. So if you want to try for the business architect um, certification, then um, feel free to join me on this. Feel free to join me on walking along on this. Obviously, I take it at my own pace. So if you want to go faster, go right ahead. I mean, create yourself your own profile and um, go through the academy. Um, I just know that um, my last attempt, even though we were trained in 8.6 on the Pega platform, um, the question, some of the questions that I received on certification was 7.0. Some of the keywords were Pega 7 keywords, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So, um, it's a bit um, challenging at times. So, okay, um, we're going to be getting into some video uploads after this hour, and then we're going to be going into Final Fantasy VII the original, not the remake. Continuing on that. So quite a bit of content for you today. So hopefully you'll enjoy. For those of you watching on YouTube, this is just going to be that hour video for Pega, and that's it. I mean, you're welcome to go to my playlists and see the other games that I play, but just know I do try to break this up a little bit. So try to, for the most part. All right. Um, so let's get into the draft mode here. Okay, so the draft mode, when you create a case type in App Studio, by default, all processes you configure are created in draft mode. Draft mode allows you to quickly run the case type to check the runtime behavior even in incomplete configurations. For example, a connector may be missing a flow action because the view for step is undefined at the time. Um, so, um, it's much like any like writing up an essay. You're probably going to have a first draft before you go back through, proofread it, and correct any errors, spelling errors, grammatical errors that you might have in your essay. Same kind of deal on this. Um, the App Studio won't formalize your case type until you confirm that it is indeed the final draft, you might say. Once flows are completed, before an application can be released to production, draft mode must be turned off on all process flows. Failure to do so results in guardrail violation. The guardrail can be ignored during development, but must be resolved prior to production release. Um, well, um, also, bear in mind that, some guardrail, some guardrails might be just informational too. Um, so might not be that bad of an error, but still. Okay, so review case type errors. App Studio displays a list of errors in your case type that you must resolve before draft mode is automatically turned off. You can only manually turn off draft mode from Dev Studio. When you save a case type in App Studio, Pega Platform automatically switches off draft mode for processes that that do not contain configuration issues. In the center of the following image, slide the vertical line to view the error details. Okay, so here's your case life cycle. Okay, and it's basically saying, hey, you got yourself um, you got yourself a potential error that you need to resolve. So you look at it, you click on it, you look at it more, and it says the following configuration issues need to be addressed before the process can be toggled out of draft mode and published to production. So view must be configured for create, unable to flow open flow action. Blah, blah, blah. So um, just resolve those errors, and you'll be able to you know turn off draft mode on that. And that's it. That's all that they cover in draft mode right at this moment in time. Be kind of nice if they showed a little bit more here. Like maybe, um, like they didn't really have much in this particular case lifecycle. Um, Probably should have had, more and shown like some more draft process warnings than just this. But I don't know. They just wanted to kind of show the basics of it, so whatever. All right. Check your knowledge with the following interaction. Which of the following two statements are true about draft mode? Okay. You can check the runtime behavior of a case type by running the case type, even if the process contains errors. Most likely not. Draft mode is automatically switched off when you save a case type if the processes have no errors. I believe that is true. Never use draft mode when testing your application. That's false. You want to have draft mode. Um, um, to start off your application. So draft mode flows run in a production environment. I don't believe that's the case either. So um, I believe it's these two answers here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So um, So yeah, the never use draft mode. Yeah, that doesn't work. Draft mode flows run in production environment. Well, draft mode isn't supposed to be running in a production environment, so that's why that one doesn't really work. Um, Now, one of the nice things about this is again they say why any process added to a case type is in draft mode by default, so that you can run the case type and check the runtime behavior even if the process contains errors. So, that's one of the nice things about the draft mode, right? Saving a case type automatically switches to draft mode for processes that contain no configuration issues. And that was addressed up here. Well, all of it was obviously addressed up there, but um, let's see, why, what their answers were for the two wrong answers down here. So we can do that one and that one. So those are the two errors. So they state you can check the runtime behavior of your case type by running the case type, even if the process contains errors. So they're basically saying, hey, your draft mode you know, is good to test out your application. So why not use it? In a production environment, processes in draft mode do not run. You must turn off draft mode before moving relevant rule sets to the production environment. So, um, so it just won't, you won't be able to take anything from draft mode and move it to the production environment at all. It'll just say, sorry, can't do this. You're out of luck. You're gonna have to resolve your draft mode before you can move it. So yeah. Okay. Um, Now what's nice about this particular quiz is the fact that they change up the order. So um, you have to kind of check out your answers a little bit on that. So, or you can't rely on positioning on that to answer that. So hey there, George. How you doing? How's your day been? Welcome back to the stream. Okay. So we are done with this particular topic for the defining a customer microjourney. Let's go ahead and move on to the module quiz. Okay, so we got 8 questions here. So, in which situation is it appropriate to use a multi-step form? Job application case requires the applicant to fill out personal information, enter job history, and provide a cover letter. Um, I mean, that might work. Um, let's check out the others though. An expense report must be reviewed by an employee's manager, senior manager, and director. You don't need a multi-step form for that. Um, a course selection case requires university students to choose courses they are interested in taking. Their proposed schedule must be approved by their academic advisor. Um, um, this doesn't really need a multi-step form, and the fact that you have a um, like an approval process here doesn't really work for the multi-step form either. I'm good, thanks. How are you? I'm doing good there, George. Um, just taking it one day at a time right at this moment. So, um, hopefully I can get through. Um, I can remember everything that I'm doing for these, for getting through this certification, so that I can get that later. Um, that'll increase my chances of getting hired, um, in other places. Seeing that I've been hired in, or seeing that I've been um, trained in Pega, you know, uh, I have the possibilities of getting hired into companies that want Pega, but it's just, uh, um, a lot of them want a lot of them want the certification, and they have every right to want that certification. It's like it's one of the beginning certifications for this. I mean, you get trained for the system architect certification. It's just when I took it, I missed the minimum requirements of getting it by like 6 questions or something like that. So it was frustrating, but whatever. Uh, if may ask you, gonna write a academic article plus? Nope, no academic article for me. I'm not, um, no, I'm not that knowledgeable. So, you know, um, I do kind of wish that I can lock more information up there in my brain and mind, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, that's the one thing that I often wish that I had um, trained up better, I guess you might say, is, my memory. I really wish that I had, um, and, I really wish that I'd, try to train my memory to be better. So, or, there's some things that I remember easier, you know, like I can remember, um, like certain things in games, for example, you know, um, so, you know, like, like I mentioned before, how in my Final Fantasy run through, how in Final Fantasy 4, if you click on a particular panel, you open up an invisible door that you can just kind of walk through, and you can kind of just walk through space in a sense. An invisible path that allows you to get into a room that has like multiple chests. I can remember that clear as day. I know exactly where to go for that. Um, but um, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, I can remember those, perfectly fine. There's just some things that it's like, uh, trying to trying to remember this is like difficult. So, um, a work you get, a course. Yeah, the uh, the job that I had before, I'm currently on furlough, so I mean, we'll see if I get sent to another contract or if I'm pretty much done there. I don't know. The they tried training me in Pega, but the trainer wasn't great. Um, I don't think there was like anyone really listening to him at the end, because everybody just started like dropping off from his training sessions, you know, because he was really bad. um, you know, um, and so um, a lot of us kind of struggled for the certification test that he was trying to push us to get through, but um, I'd actually asked our company to get us sent through the training course again so that we could get a better instructor so that we could actually get a decent you know um, so that he could answer our questions when we were asking them. Um, or, he'd be like, okay, let me look into it. I'll reply, I'll come back to you with an answer like the next day or something like that. If he didn't have the answer. But, the instructor that we had, you know, um, he didn't do that, you know. It was quite frustrating. And unfortunately, the company said, "No, you've been trained. We're gonna send you off to companies. We need you to get that certification, and we're gonna send you off. No more, no retraining." It's like, okay, thanks, appreciate it. So, so this is my retraining, going through this certification again, or going through this academy, taking the module quizzes, trying to remember everything here so that I can get the certification and I have a better chance of getting a job using Pega. Um, which is interesting because, you know, I never heard of Pega prior to this, prior to being trained. Um, it was never something that was talked about, um, in college or just in general. I never really heard, um, I never really heard about it in like casual conversations. So, um, most likely because, um, any coder would look at it and go, hey, something that basically tells you not to code. Yeah, I don't want that. um, Damn companies, as always, all they care about is money. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm, you know, greed has become the main factor in today's society, which is a shame. They're going to, it's going to crumble. You know, if they keep on going on this course, they're just going to crumble under their own weight. They're not going to have anybody qualified to work on the projects they want people to work on. Those people that you know people that aren't trained, that are like just coming out of college, they're just going to be going and doing their own thing, making their own product, you know. So, be right back, getting water. Sounds good there, George. So, the course selection case requires university students to choose courses they are interested in taking. Yeah, so most likely not that one. An onboarding case requires an IT member to set up a new hire's hardware and a facilities member to set up the new hire's desk. Um, that was shown as a parallel process, but not necessarily a multi-step form. So um, I'm gonna select the first one there because I believe that's the most um, this is all um, applicant information that you can put into like multiple different screens, but it still kind of combines into that job application. So yeah, and they're saying that that's correct. So moving on. When modeling the life cycle of a case, stages represent a blank or a blank. Um, okay. Um, when modeling the life cycle of a case, stages represent a time period for a process to complete. Possibly. Transfer of authority. And that might also be the case. Significant change in the status of a case. That's true. Subset of data used to resolve a case. Not always. Um, I'm I'm kind of leaning towards these two right here. Okay. Um, the time period for a process to complete, like a life cycle might be from like like that uh um like a crash assessment, you know, example that they had that one time, a person gets into an accident, fills out the information, the person reviews that information of the accident, fills out all the necessary paperwork, and then they, cut the person a check and resolves the insurance on that. So that requires a time period. So, and that is multiple stages from, start to finish. So that's why I'm looking at time period for a process to complete. And significant change in the status of a case, obviously, first was submitting the um, accident details, inspecting the accident details, and then resolving the accident details, kind of thing. So significant change for each stage. So um, transfer of authority that doesn't always um, that isn't always the case. Um, you know, you might not even need to like go to like a higher manager or something along those lines. Like, like in the case of the accident report, all it was, the customer and the reviewer, and that's it. The reviewer didn't necessarily need to go to their manager or CEO or anything along those lines to handle the claim, right? So not always a transfer of authority. Subset of data used to resolve the case. Um, I mean, um, some um, some cases might you know um, might use data, but sometimes it might just be like, hey, we're going to collect data, and that's about it. Um, so I don't know. This one might be possible, but I'm gonna check. Okay, so it doesn't agree with the time period. Okay. You cannot configure time limits for a process. Okay. Um, that um, here's but yet you can still put like a um you can still put in um some like alerts if say, a process hasn't been completed though. So wouldn't that also fall into the time period? That's why this one throws me off. It's like, hey, this stage, you know, you can look at it, for, to have the start and finish be done within a certain amount of time or something along those lines. Like you have um, like you can put in an alert in there saying like, hey, you started the issue. If it doesn't get resolved in like 7 days, then maybe it, you know, alerts in a manager that hey, this hasn't been done, right? So, um, hope it goes well, my friend. I hope so too. Obviously, there's much to cover on it, but we'll get through. So, um, you're welcome to join me on this as well if you're interested. You're welcome to continue. I'm going to be going through, this, um, system architect, to get the certifications. There's also a business analyst um, certification as well if you're interested. But okay, so apparently, you know, one isn't correct. Okay. I think I've gotten that wrong before in the past. I keep on thinking that time period is reasonable, but apparently not. Um, I highly doubt that it's a transfer of authority. That makes no sense for lifecycle. So, um, but I can only check this once, so I don't know if I got this solved yet. We'll just go with the subset and see what happens there. We can double check it afterwards anyway. Case lifecycle design is a model to blank and blank. So case lifecycle design is a model to define the user interface appearance. No, not really. Define processes and steps to implement the three necessary stages of work. I mean, yeah, sort of. Define how work is completed for each specific customer request. Hmm, I don't know about that one. Um, Define a structure to create, process, and resolve work. Oh boy. I'm not really remembering this question, this one all that well. Um, I'll, you know, so, um, so case life cycle design, obviously it's not just the user interface, and it's not about appearance. It's all about, handling the stages, processes, and steps. So that really doesn't have any bearing to user interface whatsoever. So that pretty much knocks out the first one there, or at least if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Define how work is completed for each specific customer request. Um, I mean, sure, define how work is completed. That's fine, but for each specific customer, I don't know if it really goes that in depth on this particular answer here. Um, because case life cycle is meant to be, very generic in the sense that it handles all the customers, not just specific customers. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant on the third answer there. You know, um, the create, process, and resolve work. I mean, you have the create, you have the resolve, and you have stages in the middle. So um, so I believe this works. This answer works. Um, and um, because you have create, resolve, and essentially a process, you have processes and steps, within each stage, that are done as well. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards the second and fourth answers here. The number of stages in a life cycle depends on the needs of the case type, but that's okay. I mean, they're not necessarily wrong, but still, it's um, you know, the, you know, define a structure to create first stage, process second stage, resolve third stage. Granted, you can have more stages in the process and more stages in the resolve. You can have multiple resolves. You can have multiple processes. That's quite understandable. But you know, um, you know, it's basically saying, hey, you need the three necessary stages. So it's like, okay, apparently that doesn't work. Okay, so far I'm not really doing very well now, am I? Um, well, I doubt it's the user interface appearance, so I'm gonna have to go with this one. So, and again, I can't check the feedback. Which of the following scenarios leverages um, case lifecycle design? A travel agency creates a Pega platform application to handle travel booking. Business wants customers to request a reservation for a hotel room or flight. Agency employees to validate the customer providing payment information, and agents to send booking information to the customer. The Pega platform application has a booking case type with three stages: reservation, request, validation, and confirmation. That looks like a standard case lifecycle design because you have reservation, basically the create, you have the validation, the process, and you have the confirmation, the resolve. So, and then they provide, details as to, what each of those stages are working on there. So that to me looks like a, perfect case life cycle design at this moment in time. Let's see if there might be something better out there. Customer contacts the call center to cancel service. After the agent addresses the customer issues, the customer decides not to cancel the account. Um, hmm. Um, this one doesn't really have that much in terms of um, this one doesn't really have any like stages, per se. You know, um, you could work it to um, see, if you know you could try to work this scenario out to make it into a case lifecycle. Um, but it would require a lot more of a rework of the sentence to really get it to be a case lifecycle design. You'd have to have more on the stages. You'd have to have more on the process of how the agent addresses the customer issues, so on and so forth. And that's not really covered in this particular description. So we're pretty much going to ignore this one. A firm creates a Pega platform application to handle purchase requests. The first step is to get an accurate list of seed suppliers. Okay. There's um, there's no um, there's nothing here concerning process or resolve or anything along those lines. So not exactly the best collection of information here. So we're gonna move on. An online retailer creates separate Pega platform applications to handle purchase orders. The business wants customers to purchase from their website, which is handled by one application. The business wants the warehouse team to check their inventory and package the item for delivery, which is handled by a second application. The business wants a third-party delivery service to ship the item to the customer, which is handled by a third application. That is not all contained within a case lifecycle design, so this is automatically um, removed because you're talking about three different applications here. Now you could try to work it so that it's all in one particular application, try to handle each one of these steps, as their own separate stages, but you'd have to do like a rework on this particular statement. So the first one should be correct. All right. Which two of the following methods can configure one stage in the case lifecycle to advance to the next? Choose two. Um, obviously, which two of the following methods can configure one stage in the case lifecycle to advance to the next. So you can do the add a change stage step. That's one way of advancing to the next stage. It's perfectly reasonable to have that. Um, um, Configure the stage to resolve the case in the stage properties panel. You can definitely do that. Um, while running the case, use the actions menu to change the stage. That's a bad way of going about changing your stage. So no, you don't want to do that. Also, if I'm not mistaken, that also wasn't really addressed in the um, topics at all. So you know the fact that they even mentioned the action menu before even talking about the action menu is not exactly great in terms of um, Pega Academy. I mean, they should still be, addressing that, but to be having that in the module quiz this early before addressing the actual actions menu, that's not great. They should kind of change that question, in my particular opinion. Configure automatic stage transitioning in the stage contextual property panel. Um, So, um, oh wait, we don't, I mean, we're going to be resolving the case anyway, so, um, ooh, wording here is what's kind of catching me on this, so got to be careful with this. Okay, so, um, typically, when you go through the steps, it automatically transitions from one stage to another. You can change it in the properties panel, um, so that it requires a little bit more. Like it might require um, like a persona's approval or whatnot. But um, configure the stage to resolve the case in the stage properties panel. I mean, when you finish um, all the steps on the resolve, it automatically resolves the case completely. So I don't believe you need to, you know, um, you shouldn't necessarily go into the stage properties panel in order to resolve the case. Um, so that's why I'm kind of leaning more towards the third answer here. Um, because, you could configure the automatic stage transitioning in this particular. So I believe that's the case. Feedback? Yeah, okay. Um, One of the options in the stage contextual properties panel is automatically transition to the next stage. Yeah. So that's why I was. But my problem was that you know um you know the naming. You know I know of the stage properties panel, but I forgot that they can also name it the stage contextual properties panel too. So it's like, okay, I gotta be careful with that. So, or I know of the stage properties panel. It's just um, I forgot that contextual was also possible. So, all right. Which is a benefit for using multi-step forms. Provides a way to add an assignment that is pre-configured with one or more actions a user can take to a process. No. Helps you organize separate tasks into steps so you can control how, when, and by whom work is performed for each step. No, that's not what a multi-step form is all about. Helps a single user complete complex tasks by presenting multiple screens in a logical sequence. That's possible. Provides an easy way to add a step that is pre-configured with functionality such as sending an email to a process. No. So it's the third one. Um, so the reason why I was kind of hesitant on this is the fact that it says complete complex tasks. Well, it might not be complex. It might be just, hey, you have to enter in your name. You have to enter in your phone number on the next screen. You have to enter in your job title on the next screen or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily need to be complex. You're just the multi-step form is there to kind of organize it in, organize the form in a readable fashion, you know. So it doesn't need to be complex. It just needs to be readable. So um, Okay, a microjourney is a small part of the overall customer journey. The microjourney focuses on accomplishing multiple goals. Um, I mean, a microjourney is a small part of the overall customer journey. That's true. The microjourney focuses on accomplishing multiple goals, though. I don't know if I agree with that one. Because one would think that a microjourney would only focus on, completing one specific goal per microjourney. At least one would think. So, so I think I'm going to just go with false on this one, just because of this second statement here. I don't think that's true. Okay. You know, the overall customer journey, yeah, that's true. But the multiple goals, no. All right. When modeling the life cycle of a case, alternate stages, blank and blank. Okay, so alternate stages are things that are, kind of separate from the primary stages. So they handle like miscellaneous, um, things that are kind of going on, so um, represent exceptions to the normal course events. Yes. Can be sequenced into primary stages. Not normally, no. Represent a separate but related business transaction. Kind of, but not exactly. Um, because it's not not a separate business transaction. Like you're not doing like two different shopping carts here, for example. Can be reached by user action at runtime only. I believe that's the case right there. I believe that's the answer for the second one. Because normally you can't get to the alternate stage unless it's by user action. So alternate stages can be automatically sequenced into the life cycle based on runtime events or values. Okay, so it's basically giving me the answer for that, it's number two. They really needed to reword this a little bit there, though, because and it's this is a little weird because um, you know alternate stages, um, sure they can be, you can have, you know, like a change stage to go back into the primary, but you don't necessarily need that to happen. It can be like a resolve issue. Um, so, um, so while technically true. It's not at the same time very regular for it to, to be sequenced into primary stages. Out of primary stages, yes. Into primary stages, not always. So that's why I was like, you know, uh, could be, sure, but, not always. But I mean, the more often than not, in order to get into an alternate stage, it has to happen by, you know, something occurring that will, transition to the alternate stage, like, the for the setup of an employee's workstation, right? If someone rejects the work order, it goes to an alternate stage so that, they fix the setup so, the employee can have, uh, their workload and the like. So, I mean, that's user action right there. So that's why it's like, okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. There might be like a keyword here that is um, making the statement incorrect, and that's you have to be careful with this certification because they get you with that. They get you with that like that like one key word in the entire statement that just makes it wrong. And it's like um, that's why I was like, can be sequenced into primary stages. Well, yes, but no. Normally, alternate stages you're sequenced out of primary stages, but definitely not a separate but related business transaction. So hopefully that's not the case. All right, let's see. Well, I missed three of the questions outright, and okay, apparently I still did not pass. Apparently I didn't get one of the question answers right even after the retry. Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out what the heck happened there. Um, the fact that I missed the three questions right off the bat, you know, um, didn't, um, um, was, you know, if I took the certification exam, um, like today, and I tried that, three out of the five questions wrong, yeah, that's not great. So, um, okay, so we're back to alternate stages here. Um, we're so close. Yeah, but it begs the question as to which one I messed up, and it also tells me that I might need to go back and study this particular module a little bit more because if I'm messing up on these particular questions already, then I need to be a little bit more solid in what's going on there. So um, okay, so represent exceptions to normal course of events. Yes. Um, so I tried the user action at runtime only, and that was incorrect. Um, and I tried the can be sequenced into primary stages. Okay. Um, okay. Let's see their explanation here. Alternate stages consist of steps that could transition a case back to the primary path. I mean, that's true, but I mean, alternate stages can also be reached by user action. Now, um, what might be what might be the incorrect portion of this is the fact that they're saying, at runtime only. That might be the catch. They might have um, this might have been like the catch for that particular answer. Uh, so, okay, so got that one correct from the last attempt. So, um, we already know that this one was the answer. Once again, be careful of, the ordering of the questions. They switch them up, so don't think, oh, here's a long answer right here. This was clearly the first one that, I picked last time, so I'll repick it again. No, make sure that you reread the answers before you pick anything, because um, they'll catch you on that. Not to say that um, you um, you won't really have that option during the certification test. I mean, they won't give you feedback, on the certification test. It's either, you get the question right or wrong. That's it. So, um, okay, so which of the two following methods configure one stage in the case lifecycle, advance to the next? Okay, so we had the configure automatic stage transitioning in the stage contextual property panel, and you add a change step. Um, you're not using the actions menu and you're not doing the resolving the case. So both of those are correct. Case lifecycle design is a model to um, so define a structure to create, process, and resolve work. I tried the define processes and steps to implement the three necessary stages of work, and they marked that as wrong. Um, and then I picked this one, define how work is completed for each specific customer request. Um, even though, um, I was having some issues with the fact that they said specific. Um, it's case life cycles are typically designed so that it's generic. You can have it be handled by all the customers. Um, so while sure, each customer comes in, they can put in a request, and they have their own specific case, case type, uh, for the request, and it's specific. Um, case life cycle design is more generic, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant on this particular answer, but they still consider it correct. Okay. An individual instance of a case lifecycle is used to process the work for each specific customer request. That's great that an individual instance of a case lifecycle is used to process the work, but we're talking about case lifecycle design. So that's why it's doesn't. I have a hard time with this particular answer here. I'm hoping that I can kind of lock that one down a little bit better when I take, if I see something similar to this on the certification, I'll be able to answer it. But I don't know. This doesn't feel correct for the case lifecycle design, but you know, that's what they wanted to do here, so we'll move on. Um, Microjourney is a small part of the overall customer journey. The microjourney focuses on accomplishing multiple goals. Already said that that was false, and that's true. So, or it's correct, I should say. All right. When modeling a life cycle case, stages represent a blank or a blank. So, um, so I tried to do the time period, and I tried to do the significant change. They said that the time period is incorrect, even though, there is still a time period to resolve a case. So, whether it's, like instantaneous or, takes a certain amount of time, but, days or weeks or whatnot. But they're basically specifically saying, you can't state how long the process is going to take, even though there's alerts that you can do to state like, hey, this particular process has not been completed. Alert the manager because we need this resolved or something along those lines. So I don't know. It's it's incorrect according to them, but at the same time, I yeah, it looks like a reasonable answer. So I don't know, you know, what exactly am I missing there? Um, so what, is there like a keyword here that is, um, making this particular answer incorrect, or maybe there's a statement up here that makes it incorrect. I'm I'm not 100% sure. Um, so um, I don't believe it's transfer of authority. I believe it's a subset of data. Apparently, can't do that one either. Stages do not hold data, but yet stages can still display and gather data. So, um, I, huh? They're actually gonna say that it's a transfer of authority? Really? In what way? I'm probably gonna need to come back and check their answer for this one and find out what the heck they're talking about here because um because I'm not quite sure what they mean by transfer of authority at this point because you can have an entire process that gets handled by the customer themselves. So how's that a transfer of authority? You're not having a um you're not having it done by a worker or a manager or something along those lines. So what's going on there? Why, what's the issue there? So apparently that was the question that I got wrong. So um, I'll have to figure out what's going on there. Um, benefit of using multi-step forms. Um, let's see. Um, for functionality, no. Um, no. That's the one. Um, no. No. Yes. No. All right. That should be 100%. All right. I want to retry real quick. I know that I'm getting beyond the hour here, there, folks, but I want to see what their answer was for this actually. That's why transfer of authority and significant change. Stages sequentially model order and transition. Okay, how's that transfer of authority though? Hmm. Let's see. Modeling a case life cycle. When modeling the life cycle of a case, stages represent. I need to look up the transfer of authority here. Let me check. Let me figure this part out here, there, folks, because this is um, nope, not that one. I want to look up the authority line here and figure out, what's okay. Um, I'm looking up authority and okay, so that keyword is not in the language presented on the web page itself. It could be inside here, even though it's, like it might be wording inside these images, but so let me go back through the images because um, let's see. No authority there. No authority there. No authority there. Nothing there. there. Nothing there. So far, batting zero here, the folks. I don't know what's going on. I mean, okay. Still nothing concerning like authority or anything along those lines. So nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. No. Still no. Nothing there. Um, am I missing something? Apparently I'm missing something. What's this transfer of authority? They're not addressing that anywhere in defining the customer microjourney here. Am I wrong? I did not see these words used at all anywhere in defining a customer microjourney. Did anybody else see that? Am I completely missing this somewhere? Um, I'm now going to go and see about. Let me open up a new tab here. I'm gonna do a search here. I'm just trying to see if there's maybe, I'm not seeing anything here about, um, microjourneys. You know, at first I was thinking maybe they put it into like a different module. Like, hey, I went to that Microjourney, side article that I've lambasted one side and down the other. But yeah, there's nothing concerning transfer of authority anywhere in the module. So there is transfer of authority within the module. At no point is it addressed using these specific words. Can you please add this into the module so there are no confusion as to what it is referring to? See what I'm saying about the fact that they um okay, so here's the thing. They when I selected this and when I haven't selected the two answers. Okay. Um stages sequentially model order and transition. That's that might be true, but at no point did they mention anything about transfer of authority anywhere within the microjourney here. Okay, so um, you know, the stages do sequentially model order and transition. That's true, but at no point did they, talk about transfer of authority here. So this makes no sense whatsoever, based off of the module here. So so that's why it's like, wait, what? you know. Sadly, I got to go, friend. Have a nice one. Sounds good there, George. You have yourself a good time. Good night. I'll see you next time. I'm gonna be still streaming for a good while up until about 8 o'clock PST. So, feel free to stop on back if you're interested, if you want. So, but until then, take care. See you next time. Okay, so I I don't know. This is okay. Well, I sent my feedback to them. Maybe they can fix what the heck is going on there because, like I said, they're, the module itself does not have anything represent the transfer of authority. Um, the um, the transition between the stages, sure, that makes sense. Um, Even though, that doesn't really show it. Let me see. Let me go. Um, Organizing work in stages. Stages represent the case transfer from one caseworker to another or significant change in case status. I mean, that's part of the, that was one of the answers. You expect 3 different groups to participate. Um, that's this is what they're probably trying to reference, the whole transfer of authority. Um, but they didn't state it as such. So, um, and and it might not be a transfer from one caseworker to another. It might just be, um, you know, um, the caseworker is can be kind of problematic because this entire first section there is customer, not caseworker. You know, there caseworker to me sounds like a employee. Someone that's handling the case. After the fact. Um, Here, let me caseworker. Um, An investigator, especially for a social agency who aids disadvantaged individuals or families, and chiefly by analysis of their problems or through personal blah blah blah. Person who does casework, an investigator. Um, so and obviously this is kind of more specific to the social, you know, um, um, social departments and the like. But still, it's um, um, their wording um, is suspect here. They, if they want to do the transfer of authority, they should state it like right here. You know, Stages represent a transfer of authority. Bam, done. There you go. Now it's on the quiz, and now it's confirmed. Okay, this, you know, um, this is problematic. you know, um, or if they want to use the keywords transfer of authority, they should explain, hey, it's transfer of authority. Otherwise, considered, from one caseworker to another. Okay, and while I might not necessarily agree with it personally, that might be something that they themselves consider. Okay, why they consider a customer a caseworker, I don't really know. I'm just gonna say, I don't know. I feel like they are kind of shooting themselves in the foot on that one, but because customer doesn't necessarily mean caseworker, but I don't know. Like I said, I look at that quiz and I was having some issues with it, so we're done with the module. Um, I was already kind of having some difficulties with this one already, especially with um, the fact that they linked this page, and believe me, I've already talked about this page. So this one's a problem. That page is a problem. They really need to revamp that one. They really need to rewrite that one because that was bad. Um, I found a lot of I was seeing a lot of problems, um, specifically with their images. This one in particular. The fact that they said caseworker here instead of persona, that's incorrect. Um, it's always a persona. They have to kind of keep with that, or they're gonna just confuse their um, they're gonna be sending. Oh, okay. You have to be kind of precise with your keywords, or otherwise you're just gonna confuse who's looking at it. Okay. Um, when you're dealing with stages, which this is a stage, not a case type. Um, you know, um, you're dealing with personas and channels, personas and channels. You know, where does caseworker come in? Caseworker looks to me like it's um, um, like an older version of persona. Like maybe it's a something from like maybe Pega 7 or something like that. They used to call it caseworker, but now they named it persona or something along those lines. I don't know. I'm already having a problem. I've had problems with their changing of keywords already. When I took their certification exam for 8.6, I was seeing keywords that they used in 7, which we were never. Uh, they never explained anything, or my trainer never said, hey, this is a new keyword. They used to have this as this word in the past. Okay. Um, which I find that as a failing of the trainer, because if he knew in the past of how that word has changed, then he should explain to us, the new trainees, that hey, when you go out into the real world, someone might be referring to this particular keyword that you know here right now as this, you know, they might be using it as that, you know, like they might be saying, hey, it's caseworker, and you might be saying persona. They're going to be like, what do you mean by persona? What the hell are you talking about? That's miscommunication right there, you know? So, that you're gonna cause confusion between two different employees because they get trained in two different keywords. So, um, so I find that a failing of the trainer. I find it a failing of Pega. Um, I find a failing of their documentation because that needs to be addressed. you know, um, I'm also kind of irritated by the certification exam as well because of the fact that, I was taking an 8.6 exam and they were still using 7.0 terms, whatever, or version 7 keywords. Okay. Whether it was like 7.6 or whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. They weren't using up to date keywords, and therefore, I was looking at them going, I've never seen this keyword before. What the hell? So, okay. Sorry about the little rant and calling out of Pega on this particular issue here. This module is done. Um, it's problematic. Pega, if you're watching this right now, you guys need to review your defining the customer microjourney and get this fixed because it's a mess. You know, so I mean, look back at my other videos and see what I'm talking about. um, but we completed module quiz. whatever. I had some initial problems with it. I'll obviously need to review. I'll probably need to review that module again in the future. Um, just so uh, like when we get to the mission test here, um, the microjourney won't get in the way of that again later. Um, okay, so tomorrow we're going to be doing the designing a case lifecycle. So we're going to be working on that. I'll try to use all the keywords that we have there to work on the challenge. Um, it really holds your hand, these challenges. It doesn't really allow for too much wiggle room on it. Um, so I don't find them that useful. Um, but I mean, for if you're using Pega for the very first time, it does kind of show you, the steps on creation and stuff like that. It's just, like I said, it uses a lot of hand holding. So to kind of, guide you along the path. It doesn't necessarily say, hey, you need to create a stage and name it as such, and that's it. Um, so well, we'll do it tomorrow, obviously. This might take the entire hour. It might even take me longer, since I'm still kind of ranting about Pega, even after this hour. Apologies for those of you that are like, hey, watching this on YouTube and going, okay, wait, this hour video is a lot longer than your normal. Apologies on that. Hopefully you still appreciated, you know, um, what I talked about on this. But that's going to be tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and close down the video because we got other things to do. Um, I'm not going to be able to do that many video uploads, but that's okay too. I'm already ahead on those lines. So, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Hopefully you'll stay tuned for the next video. Um, like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. So, um, check out my other playlists, and that's it. All right, stop recording.